Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, The Spiritual Relationship. My name is Ken Hanneman, and this is my wife, Dr. Anna here. And today's topic is caring for aging parents. We usually like to look at things from a spiritual perspective, looking at the karma that underlines these relationships. And why we do that is because in any relationship, if you do things because you know you're gaining something from it, there's something for you in it, there's some learning or strengthening or understanding that grows, something that is there for you, then the activities that you perform, let's say taking care of your aging parent, their finances, their emotional well-being, their healthcare issues, you don't want to experience it as burdensome, as something that you have to endure or is so difficult. You don't want that feeling of being burnt out. So, one way it's that spirituality really, really helps. And I can tell you this from experiences. And I think Anne can do the same, where there is always something for you in there. And this is why we offering this to you.
Yeah, I hope my dad's not watching this, or maybe I hope he is watching it. But my dad is 78. He's elderly and he's doing well, and
Mm.
he lives alone. My mom passed 3 years ago, and he was hoping to outlive her. I mean, I'm sorry, he was hoping that she would outlive him, but that didn't happen. So his plan was kind of foiled because he expected to go, but now he's alone. So I'm actually taking care of him. Ken's helping. My son, Joey, his grandson is there. And it really is an opportunity. So when anybody who's out there, at any relationship can feel like a burden. Anything new, forget relationship.
Right.
Anything new can feel like, oh, now I got to do this or I got to adjust or whatever. Like you almost feel like it's a disruption. Anything new can feel like a disruption,
Yeah.
and technically it is, isn't it? But sometimes we look at disruption as a negative, but it would help us, like Ken was sharing with the law of karma, to understand that any what we would call disruption or anything new is also an opportunity. It's not necessarily negative. And I can share from this experience with my dad. I feel that every relationship is actually an opportunity for you to get over the negative aspects of your own personality.
Yes, exactly. I fully
I
agree.
mean,
Fully
I just want
agree.
to say
Yeah.
that because you can't really escape your family. And in this podcast, we're talking about family mostly.
Yes.
I mean, we will talk about, work and stuff like that and self-care, which I believe is the next episode. And we talk about self-care. But family has its own set of feelings with it, has its own set of rules to it, and you can't really escape your family.
Yeah.
Even if you go no contact, let's say there's a situation where you really feel for your own mental well-being that you need to get completely away, they're still your family.
Yeah.
Even if you never speak to them again for as long as you live, which, I wouldn't recommend that, unless it's necessary for your health, but I wouldn't recommend that. But you never stop being a family.
Right.
So that's a definite thing to keep in mind when we talk about this transition of being an adult and now having to turn around and take care of your parents. You spend half your life becoming independent from them. And now all of a sudden, not only do I have to be there, but it's a challenge. It's like, I was saying to Ken earlier, it's like a child, but a little different. Because with a child doesn't have like the back experiences. A child doesn't have like things of loss to deal with, or, the child doesn't expect to be dying soon. I mean, it's like a totally the opposite. But some of the things with the child and the parent, aging parent, are the same. They need support. They need emotional support. They need financial help, whether it's actual financial giving or financial managing.
Ye-
They
yes.
need help with their health care. That you have to help them manage their health care. You know why? And I'm going to tell you my experience. Parents should be able to finish, everybody
Everybody would
should
need
be able
to.
to finish their life in a peaceful way and not feel overburdened, because the natural thing as you get older is you become more tired, you become less able to handle things, you become less engaged.
Mhm.
And that's a natural thing. We have a very, in this culture, we have a very specific attitude about old people because there's so much emphasis on what you can provide in the community or what you can achieve. There's so much emphasis on the middle part of life.
Yeah.
Okay. So children have one set of rules. Then the middle part of life is where you actually can make money, you can contribute, you can do whatever. That's what's valued. But then when you get older, it's like there's no value. But the natural, now let's talk about what's natural. What's natural as a child is that you're innocent or whatever and you need and you have to take or whatever. But eventually you grow up and become independent. The elderly person is essentially losing their independence
Yeah.
because of the natural withdrawal from that productive time of life. They're becoming less physically productive, but shouldn't they feel okay? Shouldn't they be able to feel like they're still relevant? Shouldn't they feel loved? Shouldn't they feel like they're still valued in life? And shouldn't they have the opportunity to feel like their life meant something? And I'm a little emotional because this is really tough. This is really happening for me right now.
Yeah.
That
And
that whatever the burden might feel like, there's an opportunity for you to really give to somebody. Forget about the past.
yeah.
You really have an opportunity to make a difference for somebody.
And I think like we work with VA patients, right?
Yeah.
And in
The Veterans
there's
Affairs.
there's a high incidence of suicide,
Yes.
and a lot of their complaints would be loneliness. It's really not easy.
You,
Not
you
that
know
that can
what's
be an easy
weird? It
situation.
not, but I want to say something about the loneliness of what you do about it, because this is the weird part about being the adult child taking care of the elderly parent. Sometimes they want you and sometimes they don't. And you got to deal with
Yeah.
that. like sometimes it'll be like, they're lonely and you feel like, okay, good. If I'm there like 3 times a week, then that'll take care of their loneliness. And then I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm coming over. He's like, nah, it's all right. I'm like, so
Yeah.
it's really like you have to allow them to still be who they are.
But that's how a child behave too. When
Childs are like that too.
it's like they need your help, and then sometimes I got it,
Yeah,
or
right.
leave me alone.
So it's a wonderful opportunity to be available, to be there, and also to help heal and help support through those challenges of that time of life. Forget that they're your parents for a minute. What a great opportunity to help somebody.
Yeah,
Like really, because you do
Mhm.
have to forget that they're your parent, actually. You
Yeah,
actually have to forget that because a parent is an authority figure,
yeah,
right? So let's talk about the relationship for a minute. When you have a parent and you have a child, the parent is an authority figure over the child. Naturally, that's how it
yeah.
naturally is, okay? When you're an adult child, you become the authority figure over your parent. But
Without
they're
making
not a
them feel,
child. You can't make
make
them
them
feel
feel.
like you're the authority. So it's
Right.
really an interesting thing. We were just reading something about it and saying, please include your parent with the decision making and stuff like that. You have to feel out the person
Yeah,
because sometimes they're like, "Oh, I don't feel like Sometimes they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to do this," and you just have to jump in. Other times they're like, "Well, what are you doing with that?" And then other times it's like, "I want to be part of it." And other times, "Oh, just do it, just do it."
yeah,
It's challenging. It's
yeah.
definitely challenging.
And what I find is that as you might find this. I mean, I hear about this. Like the child dictates, and it's got to be you have to do this, you have to do that, or whatever. But it's a nice, maybe it's a good opportunity to be able to listen and to feel what they're
Yeah.
feeling, and maybe have that power of adjustment and to be
Yeah.
flexible, and because I think the most important thing is to maintain somebody's dignity. That is really important.
It must be
Uh,
hard to be dealing with all that loss, right? The loss
mm,
of
yeah,
all the I mean, not loss, physical loss, but you're all of a sudden you're like, you don't have the energy for this, you don't have the energy for that. Your wife died. It's like, whoa, like,
Mhm.
what am I supposed to do now? Like, isn't it important for somebody to be there during that time?
Right.
I mean,
And
that could be
yeah, like
devastating.
somebody, I think if somebody said, I don't want to die alone,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we all have to take care of ourselves. And like I said, the next episode is going to be about self care. You should never, ever sacrifice self care for
mhm,
anything. But again, we're back to this same principle is that every relationship is a chance for you to, on one hand, fulfill, and on the other hand, get over all the negative parts of your own personality.
yeah,
If I have any rigidness, I'm getting cured of it now.
yeah,
I'm telling you that. I'm getting cured, right? Because one minute he's like this, the other minute he's like this. I got to be okay with it.
yeah,
Like you think this is what's weird. It's different than kids. This is what's different than kids, maybe, or maybe it's the same. I don't know. I didn't. Their
no, it's a
kids are
little
more
different.
consistent. This
Yeah,
is different. The elderly parent will be like, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. And then you're like, okay, you're thinking, okay, mentally, okay, I have to set up so that they can get this and that and whatever. And then you say, okay, let's do this. And they're like, nah, I don't want to do it.
yeah,
You're like, so you're not going to be able to plan. You're not going to be able to set up. You're going to have to just be there and just let them negotiate this time of their life and just be there financially, financially, either planning or helping or whatever, health wise, company, family, whatever they need, like just
yeah,
be able to be there. And at first, I would say that it's definitely a change, but I feel like if you have this attitude that we're describing now, this attitude of just being there, understanding that they're not going to be consistent.
yeah,
That's the part I think is the most challenging, is that they're not consistent. So you're
yeah,
still in your productive time. So
yeah.
I'm trying to work this into my productive, rigid life. And they're like, well, why don't you come over for the day? I'm like, okay, I guess I got to take the day off, Dad. Like, I mean, I'm laughing, but he was expressing a need the other day. And he was like, well, could you come the day? And I'm like, for me, it's like, I got to work. But then I said, you know what? Maybe I should take the day off.
Right.
And he was
And
very happy.
yeah, that worked out so
It
well.
worked out
We all
great, and
enjoyed
he
it.
was very happy, and it worked out fantastic.
Yeah, the important thing about this, about family, is that we get an opportunity to do the highest karma, I call it,
Mm.
because karma is something, it's action, but it's also about what we leave with each other on this journey. And you can take the physical things with you, but you always take the way you feel about things, the way you feel about each other. It's your heart. Like someone say, you take that which you can pack in the suitcase of your heart,
Mm.
because you can't take your money and you can't take anything else. So the greatest blessing that you can give to someone, no matter who it is, and I know sometimes it can be trying, and no, but one thing is to always try to maintain as much as you possibly can their self-esteem or their dignity as much as you can, but also to, even if you can't do it physically, always keep your heart clean in the way the memory you have of them. Make sure you're looking at what they've achieved, what they've contributed, their value in
I want to I
society.
want to say one other thing, that as nurses, we've been in situations where, let's say there's a parent on the deathbed or whatever, that they're in a terminal situation. And we've seen fighting among the siblings, all the negative stuff comes
Yeah.
up. Why haven't you taken care of mom? This one's not taking care, this one's taking care.
Oh my gosh.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of feeling of negativity around it. And I'm going to say why it is. Because the children are the only ones that can actually do this thing we're talking about. You're the only one that can do it. It's just like a parent is like a unique role for the child. Even if like they grow up with their grandparents or they grow up with their friends or they grow up whatever, the parent is unique. Same thing with adult child and parent, elderly parent. The elderly parent wants to feel good about their life. And who else can make them feel good about it except their child, except the ones that they sacrifice their life for, basically?
Yeah.
Who else could make them feel good? So we really are in a position to help somebody feel dignified, satisfied, feel like their life was worth something. And like you said, how they make you feel, that they can go onto their next experience when they pass on and they go on to their next experience. They go on knowing they were loved, they were appreciated, and their time here was valuable and made a difference. What else could anybody want, really? And
Yeah.
you, as the child, as the adult child, are in a position to facilitate that in them. That's why it's elevated karma.
Yeah. And I know there's some people who are listening who might say, I had a really bad experience with my parents, or I really
Right.
don't even want to see these people. I hate them, or, you know, these things have never happened, or whatever, you know. And I know how painful that is. But the thing is that because of the authority they had in your life, and because of, let's say, there was a misuse of that authority, the hurt, the pain is even greater. And the thing about it is that you don't want to live with that. But these are things that even though you might go through psychotherapy or something, it's very hard to remove that. They have shown, there's a lot of studies that show that if you're depressed or whatever, and you go out there and do charitable work, or you sort of help other people, that seems to be the only real solution to
That kind of
to this
pain.
kind of
Yeah.
pain, because it's very deep. The wound is very deep, and the thing is that you can't even get rid of that memory. So the only way is to make some kind of effort to, you know, like they say, too positive, or I mean, too negative doesn't really
Make a
make
positive.
So one, there's positive and there's negative. You know, it hurts. Do it for yourself, not to them.
Right. Well, here's the other thing, just less as a principle, and maybe we'll end on this. The principle of karma that Ken is talking about is that whatever the hurt feelings are, if I continually keep thinking negatively about that person, I'm digging my hole deeper.
Yeah.
I'm digging my hole deep. And that's not to say you should put yourself in an abusive situation, or that. I'm not saying that.
No, not right.
But you can turn it around by changing the way you think, and also by doing charitable things. Because even if it's not to that person physically, you doing charitable things begins to lift the burden on you of your pain. You feel, I feel like, wow, I have self-respect. I'm doing something good for someone else. Or sometimes we have the typical, I'm not going to do that to my kids, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So hopefully you've changed it without the bitterness. But that bitterness needs to go also for your own heart.
Yeah. There's one other example,
Good.
like with my dad. My dad was pretty good, you know. He was very responsible, family man, but he had a way of using the stick as a discipline. And
That
all
was the
my
culture
brothers,
too, to
it's
be
a kind of a
fair. That was the
culture. Yeah,
culture
there
of
was a
corporal
use of
punishment.
belt, whatever. Even in school at that time,
Yeah,
they were
that was
doing it.
part of the culture.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could remember that and think one thing, and maybe use as to say he was really bad and my mother was really good. My mother did it a little too anyhow, but you know, like she felt more pain when she's doing
Yeah,
it
yeah.
anyhow.
Well, the
But
father could be more intimidating. I mean, let's
yeah,
face
that's
it. I mean,
true.
mother is one thing. Mother saying stop it is one thing, but the father coming in like the intimidating man coming to beat you up, that's very different, right?
So caring for parents is also to look at your memory, look at the wounds, look at the hurt feelings, look at the pain,
Yeah.
and tell yourself, I need to be happy with me. I need to clean this up and make it positive. And you will be happy you did that. Even though it might be hard, it might take a lot of effort, but always take the higher moral ground.
And stay tuned, because right now we seem to be automatically going into the next topic, which is self-care, right?
Self-care.
So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that in the next episode. But I hope this gave a couple of tips, a couple of ideas about taking care of elderly parents. and also the possibilities and the karmic potential and some of the challenges there a little bit, the instability and stuff. But it's also, like we were saying, an opportunity to grow yourself and to be able to be such a blessing to someone. All
Okay.
right. So thank you so much for listening,
Listening.
and
Right.
we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.